Welcome to episode 6 of Not Again with Sandy. This is the channel where we discuss our knitting mistakes, look for lessons learned, figure out solutions. And if you knit, you've probably been here where I'm at. I'm probably at here maybe more often than you though. What we usually do here is we start out looking at our current work in progress. So this is my Leary tee, if I can hold it upright. You see one sleeve is done and the other sleeve is half done. Oh, nearly done with my increases there. And when I'm done with the sleeves, I'm going to move back to the bottom of the sweater where I'm just have to complete a little bit more knitting here before I do the short rows, which are at this end of the garment instead of up here like they quite often are between the shoulders. And then I'll try it on and figure out if it is the right fit or not. And if it is, I'll be able just to finish it up. And if it isn't, I have plenty more yarn. I'm on my third skein, and this is a sleeve and a half in. So I'm gonna have plenty of yarn. I could make a dress maybe. I don't know that I'll do that though. I have no idea how much this yarn is gonna grow when I block it. Because I don't, this is a failing of mine, I don't actually wet block my swatches because I tend to reuse that yarn. I don't want to use blocked yarn and non-blocked yarn in the same garment, but then I run that risk of not knowing how much my garment's going to grow. So here we go, another possible mistake in the making right here. I'll keep you posted on that. All right, the next sweater I want to talk about is one I knitted 3 years ago. This is the Molly sweater by CocoKnits. I just love it. It's so comfy. So let me show you the pattern. It's inside the CocoKnits Sweater Workshop book. You see that? Now that's a sweater that has a high-low hem, but you can also make just the straight hem, which is what I did in mine. But the patterns are very well written. This book is written, I should have showed you the cover, sorry. This is the CocoKnits Sweater Workshop by Julie Weissenberger. She specializes in top-down seamless sweaters, which I've already mentioned in a previous episode that I really prefer. And she has a very unique way of starting the yoke. She does just the back. You know, most just do a whole circle for the neckline and add to it from there. She starts with the back, and she picks up stitches for these little shoulder tabs, and then from there she grows the rest of the neckline. And this creates these little pockets for your shoulders to fit in, and it's a really nice concept. Julie has been very innovative in a number of ways. I just picked up all kinds of great techniques as I was working through this pattern, some that I've kept and used ever after. So the sweater, the book itself, I was having trouble reading it and keeping the information straight in my head. And that's not just her book. I think that's most knitting books. I tend to just give me the pattern. I'll figure it out as I go. But the reason I started this sweater was my local yarn store offered a course in knitting a sweater with the CocoKnits method. And I was very interested because I thought if I have someone here to kind of walk me through it, show me how I'm supposed to do this, and be, you know, a resource for questions, that would be so helpful for me. And it worked out just that way. I really loved the class. The people that operate my local yarn store are so knowledgeable and so helpful. And this was really a great opportunity for me to learn in an interactive way rather than just watching YouTube videos or winging it, which I'm kind of known for. So this was a very positive way to do it. I hope your local yarn store also offers classes. And if you're interested in the CocoKnits method, maybe you could suggest that to them if it's not something that they always do. What's nice about CocoKnits also is it's really a multifaceted kind of operation. they have a lot of patterns in their book, and they have versions of their patterns, such as the Molly, which had the 2 hemline versions. The Molly also has like you can knit a patch on the elbow, which I opted not to do, but that's another version just for that pattern. Every pattern has versions in it. The book starts out talking to you about, what is the best type of pattern to choose for you? What body shape are you? What looks the best on the body shape? How to figure out what body shape you are. And then it moves into the patterns that are the most attractive on your body shape. And then it starts talking about techniques and walking you through the patterns. So that's great in and of itself. And then they have a lot of accessories that even if you never learn how to knit a CocoKnits sweater or buy the book, their accessories are very high quality, and I use them all the time. I love them. They also have this workbook, which it's a kind of a whole, let me take just the one that I had filled out for my sweater. It's this whole system where on the worksheet you have the right front, right sleeve, back, left sleeve, left front. And I don't know if you can tell, but I have made little marks on there to show where the increases are. And you just do this by reading the pattern in advance. There's a key that kind of tells you how to notate this, so you know if you're increasing at the beginning of the section or increasing at the end of the section or both. And then you just follow down one row at a time. Each row corresponds to a round, and it's a very easy, organized way to keep track of where you are in your knitting, and you can reuse these if you intend to make the sweater again. You identify all the sweater information over here. They have a whole booklet of this that you can buy just blank worksheet paper, or there is a blank one in the end of the book, that you can just copy if you don't want to buy all the workbooks. It's a very organized and thoughtful way of laying it out, which really appeals to me. I think I've already made this clear. I really love very organized patterns. If that's not something that appeals to you, absolutely fine. But I have really enjoyed my version of the Molly, and I have other patterns I intend to make that I've gotten from the website. The website has several more patterns. They keep adding to them. They're just not all in the book, although the book has several. Another thing that's very helpful is they have an entire library of YouTube videos and do a very good job of explaining all their techniques, or, I think almost anything you'd want to know. One kind of fun thing that they offer is what they call the Everlasting Knit Along. And you can kind of join anytime, make whatever CocoKnits garment you want to make. And there's no deadline because it's everlasting. And so I think there's a lot of support there if you're having issues with your knitting also. It's just a very well-run knitting organization. I don't know if you can tell. I'm a little impressed with them. Really like the patterns. I like the tools. I like the support. And just the innovativeness of how they've approached things is really nice to see. So much knitting is just kind of variations on a theme, and very good variations on a theme. But when someone takes a really innovative look at it, it's really fun to try that out. And it's nice to see someone branching out a little bit with how we normally approach our patterns. And for instance, the make one left and make one right stitches is a version I have used now for every sweater going forward. It's the only way I make them. And I don't want to just say make one left and make one right and not explain. When you're doing increases in your yoke, because you're moving around, you want your stitches to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Symmetrical. That's what I want. So if you have increases that are pointing this way, then on this side, you're going to want increases that point that way, and be very consistent about it. And how it looks is you'll have a straight line of stitching, and then there'll just be all these stitches that are just moving off this way and that way. It's really lovely. And when it's done well, your sweater looks very polished. This is just one example of the kinds of techniques that they offer that I have just adopted, that this is how I'm doing make one left and make one right increases from now on. I'm not going to ever change. All right, well, I think I've gushed about CocoKnits long enough. Thanks for humoring me on that. The next thing I want to gush about, I mean, honestly, that's what's going to happen, is the yarn that I used for my Molly sweater. This is Malabrigo yarn in the Verdes colorway. And just look at how pretty that is. It has all this light and dark. I mean, it's tonal, but there's a good variety of the greens in here. So it's visually interesting and really fun to knit. If you've never knitted with Malabrigo yarn, I encourage you to try it. It's not cheap yarn, but oh, it's lush almost. It's so soft. It just feels so good in your hands as you're working with it. And the colors are practically luminous. I really feel like they just glow. And they have colorways that mix a lot of different colors, or they have colors that are just tonal like this one, or they have colorways with lots of speckling. I just love what they come up with in their dyeing. And the yarn itself is just amazing. Now it's superwash, so it's very, very soft on your skin. You don't have to wear any t-shirt or turtleneck underneath it if you don't want to. It's very comfy. It will grow a little bit, but if you're careful the way you pin it, it's not too bad. Yeah, I've noticed it grows a little, but not a lot. But I think blocking is the key there, being careful about the blocking. I love this yarn. This is the yarn, honestly, that made me a yarn snob. This was the nicest yarn I'd ever worked with, and I thought, I don't want to work with anything else if it's not this nice a yarn. And that caused me to just go through my stash, my extremely large stash, and purge yarn that just was not as nice. Now, I'm not going to say I knit everything from Malabrigo yarn. I don't. I'm not committed to this as a brand. I just love it when I do have the opportunity to work with it. But I definitely decided that working with nicer yarn, just in terms of the feel of it, in terms of how it knits up, how it blocks, how it wears, it just made a big difference in my mind as to what yarn I wanted to work with in the future. Mistakes. We haven't talked about mistakes yet. I was pretty lucky on this sweater. About the only mistake is one that I alluded to in another episode, where I changed skeins when one skein ran out and I started a new skein, and it ended up being right over my left breast, a very visible place, right? The lesson I learned from that is just try, if possible, to change yarn someplace else, like under the underarm, on the side, maybe just as the side is turning toward the back. Those are places that no one is really looking at. Or even if it's lower in the sweater, you know, along the hemline in the back. If people aren't seeing it or able to see it when they're talking to you and looking at you, it's as good as invisible. I think that was the only mistake I made with this yarn, with this sweater. I think that's all for this time. Please know you're not alone on your knitting adventures, and we'll talk to you next time.